Hello and welcome back to the KCC channel. I'm Rob and I hope you are having a wonderful day today. Today I have 5 stories for you from the Tales from Retail subreddit. Before we start, if you're new here, make sure to hit that subscribe button. It's completely free and you can always change your mind later. But if you stick around, my friend Carmen here just might have some cookies for you in the near future. Alright, let's jump right in. This story comes to us from Fexler. Fender bender in the car wash. Who is at fault? Let's find out. Several years ago, I worked at a gas station with a car wash. This car wash uses a chain that pulls every vehicle through at the same speed, about 25 feet apart. The car wash was the cause of about 80% of all customer grievances. This one was a bit different. One weekday afternoon, I was stocking shelves when a young woman and an old man come in together. They spot me and say, "We need to have a conversation." So I move back behind the counter. "Okay, so what can I do for you?" I ask with a smile. The woman is about to speak when the old man cuts her off. "Your car wash damaged my car. Both of ours." Not for the first time I've heard this. "Huh, how so?" I ask. The woman chimes in, "We were both in the car wash. I was ahead of him, and the car wash pulled his car into the back of mine hard." Immediate red flag. That's impossible. The chain can't pull one vehicle faster or slower than another, so I tell them exactly that. The woman says, "It is pot." "Are you calling me a liar?" the man asks, interrupting the woman. The woman is visibly annoyed. "What I'm saying," I point out to the man, "is that the car wash couldn't have done this. Either you," I make eye contact with the woman, "hit the brakes," I look back at the man, "or you hit the gas." "I didn't touch the brakes," the woman said, sounding as though she started second-guessing herself. "I'm not stupid," the man shot back. "I never touched the gas pedal." Now, not to be ageist, but old people are usually the ones who have issues with using the car wash, so he was my prime suspect. Well, thankfully the car wash is lined with cameras, so I'll just go rewind the footage and see what happened, I say matter-of-factly. "Oh, that's not necessary. We'll just have company name pay for the damages," the man says agreeably. Well, company name is gonna want to review the footage anyway, so I might as well do that now. No, let's not waste any more of our time," the man says nervously. I exaggeratedly raise an eyebrow at him, then glance over at her. She clues in that I'm laying the pressure on him, and also looks at him suspiciously. Now it's time to twist the knife. "Oh, but surely the camera footage will prove you're innocent, sir." Silence. Yep, it's him. So I review the footage and sure enough, while he was being pulled by the chain at first, he hit the gas and rear-ended her. I came back behind the counter and look at the woman. Well, turns out he hit the gas and rear-ended you. Now, even though it happened in the car wash, it wasn't caused by the car wash. So this matter will have to be solved between the two of you. If you would like the camera footage to provide to insurance, I'd be happy to give it to you. I look over at the old man with a smirk. He clearly died a little on the inside, knowing he's screwed. She thanks me and looked over at him as if to say, "Pay up, sucker." Jumping down to the comment section on this one, there's one from a user called RunnyC2000. It says, "People always think that they can get car washes to pay for their own screw-ups. I've reviewed the camera footage at numerous car washes on numerous occasions, as they all have cameras from multiple angles. I can count on one hand how many times the equipment malfunctioned or there was a failure outside of the driver's control. They always hit the gas or brake or turn the wheel." OP responded and said, "Oh yeah, I worked at the gas station for 3 years, and anytime there was car damage in the car wash, it was caused by the driver having an IQ the same as their shoe size." To be honest, I haven't seen one of those chain-driven car washes in a very long time. I can't think of one anywhere close to here now, but I do remember them from when I was quite a bit younger. And there are signs all over the place that tell you to put your car in neutral and don't touch any of the pedals. So yeah, in this case, I would lean towards the older person too, because maybe they weren't able to read the sign or something. But yeah, this was obviously the old guy's fault, and he tried to hide it. He knew it was his fault, but the cameras got him in the end. This story comes to us from Link Castle. You're not selling to me because I stole? No, that's not correct at all. So I work in a store that has a lot of theft. Calling security is never an option because they take 10 minutes to arrive, even when there was a fight at the registers that ended up requiring the police and multiple ambulances. Because of this, people get away with a lot of things, to the point there's a recurring customer who's stolen more than he's ever bought. This isn't that customer, but the other week I was serving a customer who asked to take cash off his EFT POS card. Not a big deal, but it failed so many times, he said to just cancel the order and just walked out while I canceled the cash out order. That's when I realized that he also took out the entirety of his cart, about $50 of deli meat. I, of course, knew I was going to get written up and just mark it as a loss. At least we know what he took. A few hours later, he came through again, his order at $400 now, full of a lot of premium silverware, cosmetics, and the like. Plus, he wanted cash out, on the same card as before. I said sure, and put his groceries on my other side, so he wasn't in arm's reach of any before continuing, before setting up for cash out. Instead of using his card, he immediately asked why I moved the bags, and I told him that I was looking to clean the area while he finished his purchase. A lie, but I couldn't tell him I suspected he was a thief. I didn't even mention the previous shop, but he immediately started yelling for me to give him his bags and that I was refusing to sell to him because he stole earlier. I hadn't mentioned it at all. It took a few minutes for the manager to arrive, taking over the man's shop. Turns out his card still didn't work, and with a huff, he just left. So 2 write-ups that day, one for a $50 loss, the other for suspecting a thief, but I got praised by loss prevention, so it was a roller coaster of a day. Jumping down to the comment section on this one, there's one from a user called The Girl with the Pink Hair. It says, did you ask them how the F they could write you up for a $50 loss and for suspecting the $50 loss guy as a thief? I mean, he was a thief. Another commenter down below called RoseCDXX said, you need to call HR. Your job is not to stop thieves. Your job is customer service. Unless you have been trained to stop a thief, don't. It's a liability to the company if you do. That manager is looking for reasons to write you up. Every retail job I've had in the past says, you don't call out people that are stealing, you let them walk out the door. Loss prevention is there for a reason, and if they don't catch them, that's not on you. Now, how could OP get written up twice in this case? I mean, come on. The guy admitted that he stole earlier. That wasn't on OP, that was on that guy. And if I were OP trying to cash this guy out, I'd be calling over a manager and saying, this guy stole $50 worth of stuff earlier. He just admitted it. You can see it on camera. And I don't want to serve him. OP, I think the commenter's right. Your manager's looking for a reason to get you out of there. I'm not sure what else you've done, but you've definitely pissed somebody off. This story comes to us from Electric Elk 224. Customers started crying in the dressing room and wouldn't leave the store. This is my first week working retail, as I'm normally a teaching assistant but needed extra income for the summer. It was Saturday, and so we were pretty busy. A woman came in with 5 or 6 dresses to try on that, in all honesty, I could tell were not going to fit. After about 15 minutes, I went back to check on her because a line had formed for the 4 dressing rooms we had, and she wasn't out yet. I asked her if everything was alright. She kind of shakily said yes, so I went away. Another 10 minutes, I check again. Still doing okay? A bit more firm now, she responds, yes, I'm fine. I stood nearby to keep an eye on things and keep hearing sniffles. Another 5 minutes went by. I knocked on the door this time. Ma'am, are you almost done? There are other customers waiting for the dressing rooms. She stuck her head out the door and I could see then for sure she had been crying. She handed me all the dresses. Put these back. And then she closed the door. I kinda stood there confused for a minute and responded through the door again. Are you alright? Silence. I'll put these back and give you a minute, but I'm sorry, we really do need the dressing room. Another 15 minutes went by. By now, she's been in there a total of 45 minutes crying. The manager wasn't there that day, and all my coworkers were less than helpful, so this was all on me, and I had no idea what to do. I knocked on the door one more time, a bit forcefully. "Ma'am, you've been in there for a very long time, and while I can see you're having a bad day, we can't let you just stay in there. You don't have any clothes in there even. I can give you another 5 minutes, but if you won't leave by then, I need to call security." The door flew open, and this woman, red-faced and teary-eyed, scream-whispered at me about how if the store wasn't going to carry any normal sizes, then the least they could do was give her space when it made her feel bad. She went on a mini rant about unfair sizing and catering to normal-sized people and the beauty industry. I do sympathize, and honestly, our sizes do run a bit small, but they still fit the normal, straight size range of 0 to 14. I felt bad because I know how frustrating that can be, but also, I didn't need that anger directed at me. I just looked at her and told her again, "You need to leave now." Thankfully, she did, but she flipped me off at the door. Weird situation that has really put me off for the rest of the week. I'm sure it's pretty tame compared to a lot of the stuff in here, but this is in fact my first rodeo, and I did not enjoy it. Jumping down to the comment section on this one, there's one from a user called Indiana Joes. It says, "Good on you for being firm with her and not apologizing or taking that abuse from her. Like you said, you don't need that anger directed at you. It sucks that she was having a bad day and a bad reaction to the size issue, but that's no reason to be bitching at workers in a shop. You get paid to come in and do your job, not be a customer's punching bag." OP responded to this one and said, "I did kind of apologize, but it was more of a sympathy apology before she got mean. Once she blew up, that's when I just told her to leave." Another user down below called Presentation Limp 890 says, "As a chunky woman, I feel that a person has to accept that some clothes won't fit and do their crying at home. I see plenty of stylish, bigger people out there. One store with nothing for you isn't the end of the world." OP responded to this one and said, "Crying at home is best for sure. Crying in the dressing room happens and we move on. Not letting it last for 45 minutes though." This just sounds like a really crappy situation for everybody involved. I can sympathize with the customer with the clothes not fitting because I've been there before myself, and it's a really crappy situation. Can't say I've cried, but we don't know what else was going on in that customer's day before they came into that store and they weren't able to fit into any of the clothes. Things could have been compounding for them all day long, and that's just where the breakdown happened to be. Now that being said, there was no reason to snap at OP. OP was just doing their job, and it sounds to me like they handled it really well. They didn't get angry with the customer, they didn't get pushy with the customer, they only told the customer they had to leave once the customer went off on them. OP, I'd say you handled that pretty well. This story comes to us from the Strawberry Bazooka. "Yell at me because we're understaffed. Let me make you feel really guilty." Last summer, I was working at my red craft store job checking out people at registers when my foot slid off the ancient mats and something in my foot's bones clicked. 3 days of work missed, workman's comp, and a few x-rays later, I'm in a medical boot that finally lets me walk without a ton of pain. A couple of weeks go by, and I'm at work in the boot feeling much better, getting around at a good pace, and even running faster than my middle-aged manager to grab a call. The night comes to an end, and we start the closing process. An important thing to note is that at this store, we almost always only have a maximum of 3 people, including a manager, to close the store. Some nights, it's 2. This isn't a lack of employees, it's corporate's orders to save money. So there I am sitting behind the very large framing desk, inputting the paperwork into the computer, while sitting on a stool to ease off my foot, when a lady stomps up and yells, "Finally!" Surprised, I lean around my computer and give a polite, "How may I help you?" She huffs and gives a gesture towards our floor. Yes, you may. There is no one anywhere to help me. The only person is that girl, said in a snide, venomous way, at the registers that refuses to help me. Folks on registers cannot leave the area, but usually point you in the correct direction. I start to get up to help her when she says, "This place is a mess." And then something that was a major dig at my coworkers. I can't remember her wording, I just remember being incredibly pissed at it. It was at this point I had an idea. Standing up, I say, "I'm so incredibly sorry, ma'am. What were you looking for? I can help you." "Your glassware," she said haughtily. "You know, for flowers." "Of course," I say, starting to limp around the counter that since now had obscured everything below my apron pockets. Vases are this way. We currently don't have any in seasonal, but we do have our standard stock. The lady literally gasped and stammered when I had fully emerged from behind the counter. Oh no, it's fine. You could just point me in the right direction." No, it's fine. It's this way. Follow me." I proceeded to slowly limp, favoring my boot more than I had in weeks, and adding some swing in my shoulders for effect. I apologized for the lack of employees on the floor, and brought her to the vases that were very easy to find, I'll have you know. I grabbed the vase she wanted from the top shelf, made a show of checking for chips, and asked her if there was anything else I could help her find. She straight up refused to look me in the eyes and muttered, "No, I'm good, thank you, I'm sorry," and walked away. I went back to the frame shop and had an amazing laugh. I hope she thinks about it at night while staring at the ceiling. Jumping down to the comment section on this one, there's one from a user called Crash420. It says, "I'd throw in a, I'm sorry you weren't assisted sooner, but corporate sets the schedules. They don't listen to us, but they do pay attention to customer feedback. I don't work retail, but our team practically begged the programmers to make the text larger on a specific screen to no avail. But when one large client complained, it was added to the to-do list. Since then, I've been quick to suggest adding an email to feedback@companyname.xyz. OP responded to this one and said, "I need to make cards with that to hand out." Another commenter down below called Neither Sparky says, "I'm surprised she cared when she saw the boot. Red Craft Store was the worst job I ever worked for rude customers. I started seasonal and then stayed on and cut my hand while putting out Christmas on my first week. I was hurrying to the back, literally dripping blood, and a lady demanded I help her with something. When I pointed out my injury, she just told me to be more careful in the future and continued to ask me to help her." I don't know, I think OP should have offered to carry it up to the counter for the customer and just, slowly shuffled up there past anybody else who was in the store so they could get a really good look at OP and that Karen of a customer. This story comes to us from Jack MLNX. "No, I'm not accusing you of stealing. Short but sweet, was a really busy afternoon at Schmezco and I was manning the 10 self-service tills. I had clocked a middle-aged couple look at the masses of queues for normal checkouts and begrudgingly make their way to self-service. They got off to a false start as their own bag was a thick canvas material which the machine mistook to be an unscanned item. So I go over to reset the scales. Ugh, these are supposed to be self-service tills. What's the point of you being here?" she asks me rhetorically. I'm slightly taken aback as I don't think I've ever been asked that before. "Oh, well, I help customers when the machines are playing up and can teach them how to have a better experience, approve age-restricted products, and prevent folks from stealing." She whipped round at me. "Did you just say I'm stealing?" And before I could get any other words out, she threw her hands in the air and said, "That's it, we're going to a normal checkout. I can't believe you accused me of stealing. I'm putting in a complaint to your manager." All the while, I'm trying to explain that she took it the wrong way, but it didn't get anywhere as she talked over me the whole time, and I wasn't that bothered as I had other customers to attend to. Sure enough, come evening time, my manager comes down and says, "I just had a complaint from a customer who wanted me to have a word with you. So this is the word with you. You did nothing wrong, but if she comes back, I have had a word with you." Jumping down to the comment section on this one, there's one from a user called Jules the 127th. It says, "Yes, she was definitely going to steal something. or more than just one thing with a reaction like that. The commenter below called BrightWubs22 says, "In my years of retail, I've learned the louder somebody screams, 'I'm not stealing,' the more likely they were trying to steal." I feel like OP could have saved themselves a lot of hassle. When the customer asked them what it is they do and why they're there, OP should have just completely blamed it on the machine. It misscans, sometimes the scales are wrong, but you should never say something that is accusatory towards a customer, even if you're just saying, "Oh, I'm making sure nobody steals." Now, this customer jumped to conclusions, but I can kind of understand their frustration with having to go through the self-checkout in the first place, because self-checkouts have only been around for a couple of years. I've been around for quite a few more than a couple of years, and I definitely prefer to go through where there's a cashier that can solve any problems immediately rather than me trying to figure out how to do it myself.